Guys and dolls, no mic, just sitting chilling today. Things to do tomorrow. And I just want to touch on what's happened to Craig Houston, because, I like the guy, so I do a lot of time for the guy. I watch him, I've met him, I've recorded him, I've done him live at demos and stuff like that, and I've listened to him speak live as well. Great speaker, and I just want to address what happened for my guys in Northern Ireland, just to give you an idea of what's going on in Scotland, because this is just one of many of, I do believe, are racist comments, and that's just my opinion, and this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's the opinions of a guy who's been brought up in Kerr, and opinions of a guy who's been brought up in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. It's the opinions of a guy that a lot of people like to label far right, when I'm the furthest thing from far right. But, I do cover topics that concern my country, and I cover topics that concern the future of my daughter. So these are one of them topics. We grew up in life, and we come into adulthood, and we find ourselves as adults, and as Generation X, for the first time ever, being called far-right racists. Now, we've probably been called it before, but we've never paid much attention to it, because we understand the rhetoric of the unionism and all that, and the flags and everything, and the crazy, how it represents some sort of like far-rightism, and the same with the St George's flag. And when they see all the tricolours in Ireland, the newspapers like to go, like, say it's like far-right, and we get that, we understand all that, the madness of the media and how the government like to try and portray us. But the thing is, we're Generation X, and we're not far-right, and we're not racist. We've had years of experience, years of judgment from people all around us, each and every one of us. All the friends that you've had, all your family have come and gone, all the workmates that you've had, nobody knows better than the people around you of who you truly are, and nobody knows better than you. And I'm not racist, and I want to make that clear, but I am going to call out racism when I see it. So this is what's happening. This is what's happened. This is what the woman said that made Craig do the video. Here.
Right, now there's this.
About being a female representative is how pale, male and stale it is.
Now, she said that with a nice expression on her face, and I'm quite sure, not really all that, not really vicious or anything. She just said it. It's the thing. And she could say it. Now, if she...
So pale, male, and very stale. Sounds almost sounds like a loaf of bread, doesn't it? Thing is, don't know if laddies might know this, but us Irishmen and Ulstermen, we're very pale. We are very pale. We've always been known to be pale, very white. And that white, when you go red in summertime, and the sun comes out, you go like a lobster, then you go straight back to white. Yeah, that's the paleness of us. I don't know what it is, but it is. I'm being deadly serious here, I never started getting a tan until I went to tropical weather, I've always been very white, whiter than white, and it's not something I've ever really talked about, to be honest with you, until now. Until now, when we have somebody being able to stand up and bring the colour of our skin into her politics. For whatever reason she's done it, I don't know. But it seems to be the common thread right now in Scotland, let's be honest. This isn't the first bit of racism we've heard, so it isn't. And I am going to call it what it is. We do not label anybody with skin colour. That's what we've been taught, that's what we've been told. You're racist if you do. Leave what skin colour got to do with it? You must be racist. That's what we get. That's what we've got all our lives. This is what we hear when you see the films and all the far right films that they put out, like This Is England and all that, with the skinheads, and how they always represent like the skinhead era. They never touch on the music. It's just they always touch on the braces and the skinhead and the racism. And that's just the way the media like to portray things. They like the sensationalize things, but they don't seem to want to sensationalize anything that comes out of anybody else's mouth that isn't white, or isn't Christian. This is what I think, It's like, it's okay if you're a Muslim, It's okay if you're in Parliament. It's okay if you're a member of Parliament, or it's okay if you're a councillor, or you're represented politically. It's okay to be racist. You know, here's another example of racism in Scotland by politicians.
Taken aback even by the mention on my social media that 99% of the meetings I go to, I'm the only non-white person in the room. But why are we so surprised when the most senior positions in Scotland are filled almost exclusively by those who are white? Take my portfolio alone. The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white. The Solicitor General, white. The Chief Constable, white. Every Deputy Chief Constable, white.
So you all remember that one, but there's more. Here's another. A prime example of racism in Scotland.
Every executive of every council and every government department, white. Every director of a department in Scotland, white. Every principal of a college or university in Scotland, white. Every head teacher in Scotland, white. Every chair of a public sector body in Scotland, white.
First one was Hamza Yusuf. Second one was Sarah. Hamza Yusuf was the leader of the SNP. First Prime Minister. The first, he was the leader of the SNP. He was running the country in Scotland and complaining that everybody was white. And nothing was said. Nobody thought, that's wrong, that's not right. You know, what's skin colour got to do with anything? You know, I think Scotland, is it not 80 to 90% white? Does that not make sense? You know, I am confused. The second video was Sawar. He's the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland. You know, and this is the thing. You know, what's the problem? You know, you've come here. Your parents have come here. These are second generation. Yeah, I understand that you still love Pakistan and you still have dual citizenship and all that, and you know you love your country, you love Pakistan as much as you love the country you're representing. I understand that. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I do get it. Yeah, I understand it. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, you've done okay, guys. You've done okay. We've done. You know, we're not that racist, are we? We can't be that racist if you're the First Minister of Scotland. We can't be that racist if you're the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland. What's the problem? Can you see how racist you sound standing in power in government as a Scottish, Pakistani, Muslim man, whatever you prefer? You know, what more do you want from us? Do you want us to abuse us? You wanted us to be racist towards us as well? You want it to be so we can't even complain or moan about it? You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's not us saying these things. It's you guys that are saying it. And I think it's very unfair. Very unfair to Craig Houston, you know, because he's only bringing what yous are saying, how yous are behaving, you know. So, guys in Northern Ireland, this is what's going on in Scotland, you know. You can see what's going on in England yourself. This isn't fake information, this isn't misinformation. These are the words of these people when they get into any sort of power. And that's what happens to anybody that highlights it or brings it to the attention of the rest of us, you know. And that's called silencing, again, guys. And like I keep on saying, the only weapon we have against that is the reverse of silencing. So, you know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to always back up any man who has been treated unfairly and unjustly through because of freedom of speech, you know, freedom of an opinion, freedom to criticise people in power, governments, politicians, councillors. You know, we have these in our constitution. You'll never take them away from us, and we're aware of them, and we're going to start using them. And you know, if I was far right and racist, I don't really need to do too much, do you? Seems you're doing enough to yourselves right now. For any far right and racist to say or do anything, you know, it's ridiculous. You've brought more pressure and heat and attention to yourselves by the government. So, I don't know what yous are planning or what the idea is or what rhetoric the government's going down, by affording you this protection to speak so hatefully towards the people who you expect to vote for you? Yeah, let's see how that works out.
Down. Anas Sarwar, he's the head of the Scottish Labour Party. It's not just some random activist. He's a major political figure. He's also the son of Mohammed Sarwar, the first Muslim MP in the UK who was also a Pakistani senator. In this clip that's been circulated widely on X and other social media platforms, Sarwar doesn't talk about the interests of British people. No, he stands in front of a foreign flag. It's not the Union Jack, it's not the Scottish Saltire, but the Pakistani national flag. And he tells the audience that a change is coming. He wants Pakistanis and South Asians to take control at every level of governance in the country. Also, as he claims, they can reshape the education system in their image. What does that mean for our kids? What does that mean for our values? Well, I'll tell you what it means to me. It means the end of Britain as we know it. Social media users are calling it colonisation through the ballot box. But it gets worse. Just days before this clip surfaced, we saw footage showing Anas Sarwar's father, Mohammed Sarwar, calling for blasphemy laws right here in Britain. This kind of medieval nonsense that punishes free speech, that can see you potentially thrown in jail or worse for daring to criticise Islam.
So, my godson, just want to finish off by saying this is why we do it. This wee guy here, and all our wee guys and all our wee girls, and it's not racist, it's not far right. We've got people coming into power who are wanting to change things. They're wanting to change our education for our children, the education that we've had growing up that makes us who we are. They're wanting to change that, and we don't want it to change. We want it to stay the same. We want it to stay the same in Northern Ireland, you know, because this is where this wee man's going to be growing up, building bonfires one day. And, you know, I want to say this again. This is just my opinions of what I see. I'm not saying these words. These are the people who are saying these words. It's our government that aren't calling these people out. They're allowed. They're allowed to say it. We're not. And that's not fair. So from me, freedom dad and freedom godson, God bless.